Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, there we go.
Ooh.
Perfect, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
When you hit me up and you're like, yeah, it's like 9 o'clock my time there. I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize you were over in Switzerland.
Yep, yep.
How did you then meet
Switzerland, man.
everybody? Because you were saying you didn't like you had just met Rome for the first time.
I just been in Switzerland, like, due to the COVID, like, right, the day is so funny. The day that COVID dropped, like a record, the day COVID dropped. uh, the day COVID drops, me and Al was in Germany digging. Me and Alchemist was in this town digging, and this when we got the word, like, nah, everybody gotta just go home. At that time, I was ready to get on a flight to come fuck with everybody. That's when I first started fucking with Rome and everybody. I was like, all right, let me go and meet the guys. But ever since this happened, I just been out here.
So you
Didn't
knew
get
Alk
vaccinated,
before
so,
all that.
I know Al since '99.
Really?
Yeah, I met Al. I want to say around the time that the second Buck 50 single dropped. I don't know if you even up on that.
No, I don't know the second bug.
Yeah, it's like a different era of Alchemist. It's like Buck 50, the first dilated joints.
Oh, okay,
And
yes, yeah.
yeah, the first ABB type shit, and he was about to drop Keep It Thorough, Prodigy. It probably came out like 3-4 months after I first met him. So yeah, I know him from those days. You know what I mean?
How did you guys meet?
Mm. I used to play. I used to be at Fat Beats record store.
Yeah.
Back when they were on the 6th Ave and 8th, right around Electric Lady Studio, and back in those days, like, everybody would just come in just for no reason. It's like I would just be posted up at the playing records, basically. It's like a bunch of 12 inches, and my job is to play everybody those same 50 12 inches like 65,000 times a day. So yeah, one day Al stepped in with Twin, I believe, maybe Twin and Nitty, somebody. And then, like, I met this other dude, one of my best friends, Wally, who actually was going to school with Al back when Al was going to NYC, and what is it, NYU, right?
Yeah, NYU.
Right. And so he knew him, and he knew about the beats and everything. There's actually an old, I think one of these, probably the oldest interview you can find of Al back in his old crib. Is my man doing an interview. You probably saw it. It's like a real vintage, like, ALC
Oh, it looks
interview
like it's
you
on
can
like
find.
VHS type shit. Yeah.
Kinda, yeah, that one. So that's my man right there, Wally. So Wally was like, "Oh shit, like, yo, you remind me of my man Al, like, you," because I had this fucking cassette with 40 beats, 39 beats on it, still on cassette at that time. So he was like, "Yo, oh shit, you doing your thing with the records, like, you remind me of my man Al. I gotta, like, introduce y'all." And so the first time I met Al, he had just put out. I had met him at the store, but the first time we met, like, meaning like we spoke about a couple things, was right after The Realist came out, Mobb Deep,
Okay.
Cool G Rap, yeah. So, and it is so funny because I always refer to that convo, because our conversation back in, it was still '99, like, is it 2000? '99, 2000 type shit. Our conversation was about leaving the loops alone and not adding drums to it. So I always think about this shit. I'm like, yo, this whole topic of non-intervention on the loops is pretty fucking old. So that's the first shit we ever spoke about.
Wow. So you were living in America?
For a minute, yeah. I was just you know, I in the '90s I was traveling over there heavily, and then sometimes I would stay a little bit longer and get records, just try to do the back and forth thing.
Did you move there for music, for production, for
Yeah,
DJing?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Because you know what it was like back in the '90s. If you were from anywhere in Europe, like you would make beats, and when you was done playing your shit, somebody would be like, "Yo, that ain't bad for a Swiss guy," you know.
Hmm.
And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm I kind of like don't need that shit to be said when I'm done playing my stuff.
No,
I
I
kind of
totally,
don't.
yeah, I totally get what you mean. It's like female MCs, like, oh, you can spit for a
Right.
chick. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. I'm like, yo, I don't need that. And plus, I wanted to be in the mix. Like I don't know how the fuck I felt that way, but I felt legit like I could participate, which was super fucking far fetched at the time. But, I felt like, yo, I'm digging. I got a bunch of records, and some of the records that dudes would like use in the early '90s, I would know what those were. So I felt like, I'm keeping up with the times. Like I not only know the ultimate breaks and regular shit, I'm like, oh shit, I do have the type of stuff that, I can now go further and keep exploring. I don't really know how to explain. When you dig, you kind of know when you're ahead of the curve, and I always felt like I'm at least somewhere where I can like participate with this shit.
Were you getting placements before you moved, or did you move in the hope
Hell
that that
no.
would get you placements?
Yeah, yeah. Tell the truth. When I first moved, my beats were so horrendous. I couldn't even dream of getting a placement. It was like I moved and I wasn't even dope. It wasn't like I'm dope. It was more like I was DJing for years in Switzerland, in the clubs, doing radio, digging, trying my hand at a couple different machines, MPC 60, 3000. And I think even to this day, with me, it's more so like I'm like, cool, I have access to such materials. I got a pretty good I'm not really a musician, but I'm the type of dude if you leave me in a room with a drum set for a year, a year later I would play drums pretty well or whatever instrument, keyboards, bass, I can tell. I use those instruments, just not, I don't really practice like that, but because I don't consider myself like a real musician, and I don't want to be a real musician. But what was the thing? Was
You
the
were saying your beats were horrendous. How old were you when
Yeah,
you moved? How old were you when you moved?
horrendous. Probably 20, 21. Some shit
Oh,
like that.
wow.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
you're
I think
like, damn, that's kind of, it's funny you say that because when I started comedy, I started in a really small place. You wouldn't, like this place, Cape Cod. And I was like, oh, I'm pretty good
Cape
for a
Cod, yeah.
Cape comic. And then I moved to a bigger city. And then it's like, oh, okay,
Right.
you move back. As I was saying, like the room gets larger the farther you get in.
And it's so funny because it was even to this day, sometimes I'm like, yo, it was kind of like a good idea to pull that move because I still get calls sometimes like, yo, did you make that beat on that 2004 12-inch? Like this used to be, yo, my big bro used to play that shit like, yo, we want to work with you off of that. And I'm like, yo, all right. So it's almost like I think because of who I linked with back in the days, like all the legends that came out of that. Because you got to realize back home, like motherfuckers was like making up all kinds of false stories. It's like, yo, Sebb is working with, he's hanging out with Ghostface Killer, like none of that was true. Like some shit was true, but like like all kinds of legends started to arise, and it was just good for me. I mean, it was just I think also like I said I met Al, and I remember Al put me on one of his this CD, right? He had like the regular albums and 12 inches that came out, and then he had those CD series that was called the Cutting Room Floor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Cutting Room Floor Volume One was, I think, for the purists, it was like one of the illest ALC projects ever. For me back then, this shit was heavily influential, and he had like a different. The next volume was called Insomnia, I don't know if you ever peeped that one.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, and I had like two beats on Insomnia, and I think back then that's the shit that really combined with all the other stuff. When dudes is like, "What are you doing on an Alchemist CD, bro? How? Like, why would Al even give you the time? You know?"
Yeah.
And it really, I always felt like that was the moment, that one compilation where people was like, "Ah,
Was that
this
your
dude."
first big placement?
Um, I never really had big placements. You know what I mean? I'm not really that dude, but I want to say that I can't remember. It was like a bunch of little things that came out around that time, and that shit kind of like it sealed up the whole affair. It was like I had like 5, 6, 12 inches and shit. Like one of them had like Premiere on the A side, and I had the B side. Yeah, it was
Wow.
the ALC shit. It was like, all right, hold on, Premiere, ALC. This dude is, and that's what I was trying to do. I was legit one of these like Premiere fans from the '90s that was trying to be part of that world. Like to me, even
How
still to
long
this
did that
day.
stuff start happening? Like, all right, you moved to New York. What do you like? What's your first steps? How do you get from you don't know anyone, your beats are horrendous to that?
Yeah, well, like I said, my beats were horrendous, but they were only horrendous because it's almost like, let's say back in '96, I might have been nicer than in '99, because I'm like, I'm practicing or whatever, and like between '97 and '99, that's where I'm kind of like, fuck it, I'm not even gonna make beats because everybody's giving me that nice for a Swiss guy type of appreciation, like. So basically in '99, I'm like super, I'm not ready. Basically, I haven't practiced for like a good 3 years, and I'm trying to move at that time. So yeah, the first 6 months was like almost the first year was like was a whole year of garbage.
Wait, so you
This
hadn't
just
been making beats for 3 years before you moved?
Yeah, yeah. I was
What
just
what gave you that feeling that you just needed to get up and go?
first of all, um, it's some old school shit. I guess just the way New York looked to us in the '80s and '90s, early '90s. Just New York alone, the magnetism of the city in itself. That was enough for me to want to move. And like I said, I just knew I could do it, man.
You just
I
had
just
that
knew I could do
feeling.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had that feeling. Like it was always some shit like that with me. I always knew I have the type of mindset where like I love this shit so much. I love this culture so much. I'm like, yo, it's I might not be nice now, but I love it. So I know I will keep on practicing, therefore, and I know I will keep on practicing forever. I always knew that shit. I'm probably the oldest dude still doing it that never made it.
You don't think you've made it?
Nah,
Is that what keeps you hungry?
absolutely.
What made you leave? What made you leave New York?
I just missed home, plainly. I just
How long are you there for?
couple years, like 5, 6 years,
Okay.
5, 6 years.
You just missed
You
home.
know, I just miss home. New York can become a pretty small place. It's
Yeah.
a big, big city, but if you start bumping into the same cats everywhere, and it's like And plus, around that time, like we talking about like mid 20, 2000, between 2000 2010, like it wasn't necessarily the best time to for like a dude like me that was always trying to get my name out. It was really rough, put it this way. Like it was, I had like I said, obviously I had good placements and all of that, but as far as making a living off of it and all that kind of stuff, whole different story. So um it was getting difficult, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then when you went home, did you keep making music or did you take a break?
Yo, what I got home, it felt like it took no time to destroy everything I had just built, because it's almost like my whole shit was built on vibes. I think that's how I was able to really progress fast, because I'm in Switzerland, not really feeling the scene, and then next week I'm in the States, and then and now my daily routine is like, oh, let me go to the record store and find some of the craziest records I ever seen at that time. Like, okay, let me get, oh, Pete Rock is over there. Oh, fucking Buckwild is over there. All my heroes is like, I'm surrounded by my heroes. If they're not in the store, if
Yeah.
Madlib is not in the store doing like an in store for the loot pack, then Eminem is doing a fucking in store for his first album, and then I'm over there looking at Lost Professor digging records. It's like, so um that's how that shit happened fast for me. I was just inspired by all the shit I was seeing and
Yeah.
hearing.
And you said you
Uh,
came back and you said you felt like everything you had was destroyed.
yeah, it was, the vibes were non-existent. It went from vibes, like I said, from those crazy vibes to no vibes. Like, I try to, I try to keep that shit together, and I try to just like concentrate. Like, all right, fuck it, I'm in front of the MP. Let me just do the same shit I was doing 3 weeks ago, and
But you didn't have the
it,
same inspiration.
nah, it was a whole different world. It was a whole different world. It
How
actually
long
took me at least 4 or 5 years to gain it back, which is crazy, but it took me a
did you
long
think you
time
were
to.
done with it, or did you think you were going to go back to it?
Nah, nah, never. That's the funny shit. Like, it's I'm always doing something that pertains to that. Like, if I'm not making a beat, even if it's for 3 years, it never happened again. Let me just state that it never such a. I never had to go to the desert like that again after that. But um, what was you saying? What was you saying?
You were saying that it took you 4 or 5 years to get back to making, to feel inspired again. But I was asking you if you thought you were done with it. If you thought you were
Nah,
done with
because like, yeah, nah, I was always digging for records, just so that shit keeps you busy. Sometimes when you don't make beats, it's like, you know what? I might not feel like staying 12 hours in the stew today, but let me just go to a different city and hit the shops, talk to some peoples, find some sounds. It just happened to last a long time on that one. I'm not saying I wasn't making beats, but I was just trash again.
how did you get it back after that 4 or 5 years?
um, hmm. I think I finally understood that I should just have fun with it, without trying to fit a certain mold of like, this beat has to appeal to this rapper. I have to do this for this reason. It was more like, I one day, yeah, it was in another ALC event. I think we was at ALC Crib in LA, 2011, and he played us this Madlib rock tape, right, with the rock beats, and it's kind of like an epiphany. I just felt like, yo, what am I doing? I'm like a goofy kind of dude with the way I make music, putting all these different sounds together, and I'm trying to like, I'm playing it too safe. I felt like I was playing too safe, basically. And then I'm like, let me just paint. It was almost like I felt like I wasn't painting, and then from that day I started painting with the sound. It was just like, let me not give a fuck. Also the beat scene was happening at that time, so it was kind of like, all right, everybody's going crazy trying to find new combos, new way to use instruments with the samples. It was just a good time to experiment. So I spent a few years doing that with no goal. It was more like I got hundreds of beats that I would never play for any rappers, because they're not really. It's not really for that.
Yeah.
But it's almost like I went to my own school for a few years. That's what I did. I was like, fuck it, let me just go to the stew every day, make shit that doesn't make sense most times, that still to this day. You know, a lot of people tell me, yeah, I know you got crazy shit in your, you gotta have folders full of stuff. I'm like, I do, but it might not be what you want. It was more like me saying, I got this African records. Let me see if I can do drums off of these bongos and add this new wave record to it. Let me
Yeah.
take let me take this acapella and build some shit around it. Let me kind of like all the different combos, you know, start from the drums, start from the music, start from this, start from that. And then once, you know, you put your you already put 10,000 hours in it, if not more, and you put another 10 to 20,000 hours on top of that, then after that I was ready. It just, you know, I'm that bad student. It took me like, I had to go to school for like 25 years.
But it's crazy to hear, like, all right, like you said you knew Alk since 99, and he just wrote that you're like the producer he likes the most right now, that you might like not know.
Do
It's
you know what's funny?
you say you're
And
a bad
that's
student,
why,
but you sorry, what were you saying?
nah, but I was gonna say that's why I was always salute Al forever, because I remember like it's now 2022 and I remember being in the bathroom taking a shit in '02 and reading like a Mass Appeal magazine or some magazine that doesn't exist, you know, that hasn't been existing in ages, and my name will be in his top three. Then, so I'm like, yo, this dude's been steady supporting me for 20 years. Like, every time I see him, I'm like, bro, that's pretty much I mean, I almost give ALC credit for like keeping hope alive for me, you know, like, because sometimes nothing would happen for like a couple of years, and then I would see a tweet like Sebb, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna keep going,
Now, are
you
you
know.
just extra hard on yourself? Like,
Uh,
support for Bucked Up is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. Let me say, they sent me the precision package, and life is so much better with aerodynamic balls. It includes the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, the Lawnmower 4.0 Trimmer, the Weed Whacker Ear and Nose Hair Trimmer, the Crop Reviver Toner, the Performance Boxer Briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies. Join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with code BUCKEDUP at manscaped.com. That's right, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with code BUCKEDUP at manscaped.com. Their fourth generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof and also has a 4,000 watt LED spotlight that you need for a more precise shave. Because this trimmer is waterproof, you can say goodbye to the mess on your bathroom floor. Get 20% off and free worldwide shipping on manscaped.com when you use code BUCKEDUP. Again, that's 20% off and free worldwide shipping when you use code BUCKEDUP. Let's get back into it.
I think I got a particular way of making music. It's really not that I'm necessarily trying to have that particular way of doing shit. It just um I only know how to do me, kind of, you know, like, and I really developed this shit over the years. So you know, it's almost like somebody that draws. You got a certain, you know, you can tell he drew it because I recognize. I don't know what the name is. The kind of like the ways. How would you describe, like, you know, somebody
The
that like does
style,
it
their style,
more? It's more than a style. It's like when you see the actual,
strokes.
right, the strokes. You're like, yo, I recognize the energy of the strokes or something. It's like, you
Okay,
know,
yeah.
pause. Uh, it's um so it's some shit where like sometimes it's almost like I can't escape my own style, and I wouldn't want to, but I'm caught up with that style, like that way of doing stuff and that way of caring about the details, and you know, it does what it does. Sometimes just because I have that weird style, I might not be able to give you that ABC type beat that you want. That's kind of, a loop and a drum and blah blah. It's kind of like I'm always trying to do for the if let's say I'm cooking, I'm that dude that's like, let me try to throw some fucking curry into this thing, and then I ruin the dish. Like, but I tried, and now I know. But that beat full of curries is here, standing for you to listen to. But I'm not sending it to you.
I mean, that's what you should do. Why would you hold yourself back? Like if that worked.
Exactly. I mean, and not to mention that great shit is born out of that. Sometimes like, oh my god, like I just spent 3 hours doing some shit with kind of like a regular mind state, and then you might shit is born out of mistakes as well. So a record might be playing on top of your beat, and then you're like, oh, it's the same key. Let me and then just layering that last thing makes your shit mad off kilter, and you're like, this is why you love it now because of this accident. This is kind of like what I'm trying to do. Because I'm big on being a fan of my own stuff while I'm making it, meaning like I don't want to. I don't want that shit to feel like work when I'm just trying to like, oh, I got this loop and now I have to add drums to it for it to be finished. It's more like I'm like, let's hope that along the way some crazy shit happens that really kind of like alters the way I thought was going to go down type shit.
What do you
So at the
think?
end of the day, I can be surprised.
What were you saying? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was saying, what do you think changed
Hold you.
that made that like what works now? Like this new school of music is kind of like it's not going by any code. You can
Oh, yes and no. It still got some codes. You think it doesn't have any codes?
I mean, I guess, but I think there's a way that like the reason that like all right, you were talking about the conversations you were having back in 99, or like there's a reason that like your beats are being used on the songs that they are now with the rappers. Like we're talking about Rome, or we're talking about Esty, or we're talking about Vic, or we're talking about Ty, or I feel like
Mm-hmm.
you can do so many different things, and there isn't like they're all so different, even though they're all under the same umbrella.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Or you look at like Stove God's album with Rock Marcy, you know?
yeah. I mean, to me, it all fits under one umbrella. All the shit you mentioned, So you know, gritty hip hop shit. It's not like you threw a funny name in there. It's like all these guys pretty much they're all part of the same pack in a good way. To me, you know what I mean? It's
I mean, I agree, but I just mean the music, the rap is all, they're all under the same umbrella, but like the beats and you're talking about like throwing curry in it, like the samples that are used and the no drums,
it's
like
true.
that is
It's
where the
true.
difference is. Like there'll be a doo-wop song from the 60s used, and then there'll be a sample used from like, it can be anything. And that's what you were talking about, the like the no drums.
But wasn't that always the case though with samples? I feel like sample has been wild for a long time. Like I, if anything, I feel like it's more. I don't know. It's because I think there's so many beats now, but there's less beat masters. Like like back then you had like the obvious names, but the '90s legends. This is kind of like what's missing now. It's like I think that's the only thing that I'm regretting about the scene now. There's a lot of shit that I like, that I bump. It's just a little bit less. There's less beat makers that make me feel like, what is he doing? It's more like, oh, he used that. Oh, word, he went over this. Oh, word, all right, cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Word, I like the no drum thing. It's a bunch of little things that I like, but it doesn't compete with just being blown away by one of these. I'm not one of these go back to the '90s dudes, anyways. But still, I miss the feeling of I actually watched a bit of one of who is it? Von P. You just interviewed
Oh, Don Will
Don Will,
from Tanya
and
Morgan.
he said something to that effect. Yeah, yeah, he said something to that effect. I think he was saying like there's not much that he really wants to go back to that tough, like music wise. I think we all in the same. That's the only shit that I'm missing from the scene now. Of course there are exceptions. ALC is not
Do you think it's
always.
quantity over quality? Like there's just so like you it's so easy to put music out that and it's so hard for something to catch that people are just like dumping their music instead of like working on a beat for a month if they finish or
Yeah,
a year. It's like
it
what
must have. Yeah, it must have some consequences if you go fast or if you just. Of course, it's part of the. It's part of the equation. I'm not saying it's bad. Maybe it's good. Like I know
yeah.
me, I can't. I can't give you an album every month. I wish I could. Shit, I wish I could. Just to do it. But realistically, I can't. I can't even. For me to like 12 or 15 beats that much is gonna take a while just to make them.
Is that
Probably
what you're
take.
talking about your style? Like you can't change it. Like you have to work on your own time.
Um. Yeah, but I work all the time. It's not like I'm just. I do shit all the time. It's just for me to. It's almost like there's you will. I call that a record. It's like I make a beat. I'm like, it's a beat, and then I hear a beat. And I'm like, that's a record right there. I hear it. It's already on the plate. It's already rotating. It's already a 12-inch for me. Like if I can say that record is a 12-inch, then we good. We're good to go. Like if it's some type of experience, some half baked experience of mine, you know.
Yeah. So how long does it take to get together all the beats for like that album you have coming out with Ty?
Um, I think with Ty, like once the beat thing, once he got all the beats together, I mean, it's not like I need all the beats together at once. We started and like I make them as we go type shit. And then it's the same process happens with the songs where it's like, all right, we need the right songs now. I might send a beat that I think is crazy, and then the song's like, eh. And then I might send a beat that I think is not as good, but as a song, it makes more sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it took a while though. It took a couple of years. Like
A couple of
I'm a,
years.
yeah, it took a couple of years.
How did that come together?
Just randomly sending shit, like calling each other on the phone. Like I never met Ty in the flesh. Actually, Vendor Slice suggested we should work together. I'm like, cool, let's do it. And me and Ty started talking, and he realized I never actually put out a whole rap album, which I never did. I never produced a full rap album before this one. So, but yeah, you want to get to the point. It's my fault. I'm taking a long time. It's my fault. Taking responsibility for this.
I'm not trying to get down to the middle. I'm interested. Listen, I'm a stand-up comedian and I'm a podcaster. I overanalyze everything. And I'll do that
Okay.
in my guests too. Like I don't know what the great point of every conversation is, but I just love overanalyzing things and trying to get
keep
down
keep
to
doing so. Keep doing so.
the who the people are. Maybe I had too strong of a DMT trip one time. I don't know.
Might be that.
I really think it is that I did DMT and I started the
You
podcast
did?
like the next month. Yeah.
You ever tried ayahuasca?
No, that seems so long to me. I like DMT because it's 15 minutes. Like I can be in and out.
Yeah, you don't
Pause.
want to turn. You don't want
Big
to turn
pause.
into a fucking tiger.
No.
And it's like, ah.
You ever do ayahuasca?
I wanted to try, man. I don't know why. Ayahuasca kind of like made me a believer, bro. Like I read there's actually a Swiss dude called Jeremy Narby,
Mm-hmm.
and he wrote one of the good books about ayahuasca back in the '90s, and I read it, and I remember that shit about the Indians in the jungle knowing which two plants to mix together to to get to these hallucinations. And when the dude that wrote the book asked the shaman dude, the whatever, the old wise guy from the tribe, how he knew how to mix those two plants, the guy answered that there was a they first knew from hallucinating before they knew what the ayahuasca was. So I'm like, hold up, that's kind of like the chicken and the egg. It's like
Yeah.
you hallucinated first about how to, and it kind of made me a believer. I'm like, hold on, like there's some shit that's speaking to these people in the woods, like I don't know what it's called. Like it kind of made me a believer, bro. I swear.
I mean, if I think about music in that way, that it's crazy that an idea can go into someone's head. That person,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what, it has to put it out. Like whether it's what they have to put it out, and then other people connect to that so much that it then shapes their life. Like, where does that idea first come from? It's the chicken or the egg.
Hmm. Right. Well, ideas is different. It's like where an idea comes from, and especially with the beats and the rap stuff. I think I only notice, I can't really speak about making music the regular way, like a composer or nothing like that. I only know of taking these little beats and pieces, and usually that's where the idea comes from. You just hear some shit, and it's like, yo, especially with I always talk about. Still to this day, to me, it's always so crazy to like. It's kind of like if you know how shit is made. Let's say you know a sample to a song, or like a few samples that were used to make a song, and you start thinking about the DNA of that song. It's like, hold up, it's like what the fuck? Like you got a German type, let's say a German jazz record with some shit on top, some dude from LA throw some rhymes on top of that. Like those, what were the odds of those two sounds combining? They're not from the same era. They're not from the same country. To me, that's still the one factor that makes me want to create. I see those crazy records, and I'm like, yo. By the time they combine with the right people, it will just be a. I don't even know how to call it, man. It's like I don't know how to
Well,
fucking.
that's the good thing about what we were talking about, how like people just putting out music quick is a problem. Like the good thing I feel like with the new age of music is that it's so easy to connect with people all around, that you're getting these sounds that you might not have ever gotten before because these people can connect. Like you never met
It's true.
Ty in the flesh, but that's the first full length album you've ever produced. That only could happen in a realm like we have.
Yeah, this last year has been like it's been unbelievable. I think the way social media is set up right now, like I don't know what it's gonna be in the future, but like the way the Instagram thing, like it's been, there's of course you can always talk bad about Instagram on many levels. I mean, as far as just keeping it simple and just reaching out to people and like, hey, what's up, man? Yeah, I'm gonna send you those beats, blah blah blah. This shit is it's one of the best tools that ever existed.
I 100% agree. None of this would have happened. Like, how
None.
could I have talked to you? How could I have been on like a Conway song? Like, really, when would I have ever met Conway? And then, like,
Are you on a Conway song?
yeah, I'm on the song Earthlings. He used 2 minutes of our conversation of him coming on the podcast.
Oh shit. Yeah, that would have never happened. Imagine.
Never happened. No, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Have you ever
it's
done
true.
any hallucinogens? You ever done mushrooms or anything?
I did mushrooms, yeah. Mushrooms. It wasn't like I didn't hallucinate though. I just like laughed my ass off for fucking hours. I got
Those are the best ones.
yeah, I like these. You hallucinated?
Oh yeah, a ton of times.
What
I'm
did you see?
I mean, I this is story you can watch. Heem got, you know who Heem is? He signed to Benny. Heem from BSF. He had
Oh,
this, he's on
yep.
the new song with DJ Premier. I
Yes.
had him on the podcast and I was telling him
I know
about,
who is.
yeah, so when I did DMT, I saw a hallucination of Buddha. and Buddha was the one who told me to like start my podcast. Yo, I'm done.
Is it this? So you're saying your podcast got a slight Buddhist edge
A
to it?
slight. I'd never thought of Buddha like that before, but yeah, I was like, God damn, I guess like my third eye's
Buddha
Buddhist
made me do it.
or something.
That's crazy. Well, you saw like like a fat Buddha or some
Yeah,
shit,
I saw like a fat Buddha with long flowing hair, and he had like a Hawaiian shirt open. It was
and
crazy, but
he told you what he did he tell you like some was it random or like was it like do a YouTube account?
all right. So when you do DM, no, it wasn't.
I
He's
want to
like,
know if Buddha. I want to know if Buddha knows YouTube.
I don't think, but Buddha's like, start an Instagram page. No, so when you do DMT, you have to go in with questions. And the only question I had was I was in a really dark place. So I was like, how do I make myself better? Like, how do I do better? And when I did that, Buddha, this is all in a hallucination. I know how crazy this sounds. All right. I get it. He goes like, you know what you need to do. And when I
Know
came
what you need
back,
to do, bro.
and when I came back, I did. It was take myself seriously. And so I started the podcast, and that was life changing. I also don't know.
So
It's a hallucinogen. I also could have just done a drug in a dude's basement. You know what I mean?
right.
Like,
Nah,
you
nah.
never know with that stuff.
Based on that, doing more drugs seemed reasonable.
Well, you were talking about made you a believer. That made me a believer. Like, that really made me believe in, like, you ever read the book, The Alchemist?
I did. I don't really remember a lot of it. It was in the '90s, but yeah, the I know what the
About omens, and that
yeah.
made me a believer in omens, that there is like a path you can follow to being your best self.
I mean that's kind of like when New York did to me though. When I first arrived, like that one trip, I had tried to I had a couple of unsuccessful trips before that one, but that one it was everybody embraced me and like I was like, all right, I'm in. It was a bunch of signs all the time. I was like, man, I can't believe that this happened. I can't believe that this happened. Oh, this. It was just like it was validating my choice, like. So I kind of know what you mean. I did feel that way about life before in real time.
Do you feel like you now can make music how you want where you are, or do you feel like you do have to like move back, go back to America?
Um, well, in terms of like, you know, I got all my shit here, so unless I had all my records and I could just like transpose my studio somewhere else, uh, yeah, I guess let's go back to the IG shit. Like, thank God for IG and me being able to communicate with people the way it's been going the last couple of years. Because yeah, if it wasn't for IG, then I would probably have to move back.
How many
And I
records do you
probably
think you have?
not a lot, couple thousands, three, four, fives, not a lot. Just
That sounds like a lot to me.
nah, that's not a lot for somebody that's been digging for anybody that hears this that's been digging for like 30 years. You're supposed to have more than that, but I'm not really I'm not really a collector. I don't need every album from an artist type shit. I don't need perfect copies of records, mint, like I just and records are expensive. So, I'm trying to get as much as I can, but it's been getting really bad lately. So records do not come it used to be a lot more.
Yeah, the vinyl thing's crazy because I'm not a vinyl collector, but it like got so big that it like burst out of what it could handle. And now like no one can get vinyls, right? Like it's so hard to press
Right.
new vinyls.
Also it makes sense, you know what I mean? Because for some reason, I think when I first started digging, like because my dad loved music and I come from a musical household, like I kind of I guess I had like a certain taste already. If it wasn't based on the music itself, it might have been based of like.
Today's episode is sponsored by Om with Emily. Emily is a meditation and yoga teacher as well as an astrology and tarot reader. She uses yoga and spirituality to help others reconnect with their true self. She offers in-person and virtual one-on-one sessions for all experience levels. Find her online at omwithemily.com. That's om-with-emily.com or on IG at om.with.emily. DM her on IG and mention Bucked Up and she'll send you a free guided meditation. That's right, mention Bucked Up and she'll send you a free guided meditation. You can find her on IG at om.with.emily. Let's get back into it.
Stand that.
All right, let me change the question. Who do you get inspired by now?
I never get inspired by anyone in particular. It might be sometimes anything could inspire me. It might be just somebody just made a crazy beat for anybody, and I'm just like, wow. That's how it is for years now. I'm like, I just pick up a fruit here and there. Like, all right, cool. Let me get a banana. Let me get an apple. Like, it's never enough for me to get to want to listen to a whole album. It's rare.
Rap wise too, like do you get inspired by rappers?
Yeah, I think I get more inspired. I was telling I was on the phone with Evidence yesterday, and I was telling him like I don't really need rappers to be dope or have a dope album to be inspired by them because I took the example of Fat Joe. There hasn't been a Fat Joe album I really bumped for a long time, but Fat Joe is still somebody that inspires me. If I don't get inspired by the actual music, I might get inspired by one of his rants.
Yeah.
Like I might get inspired just by his presence. Like just I always say like rappers are to me they're like plugins. The plugins we use like as producers, like a filter or like a compressor.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, like this is Fat Joe. This he does that. You want the Fat Joe effect? He does that. Like so. I don't need you to put out like a crazy album for me to love you. Like there's same shit with the Griselda thing. I don't always bump like the the project like from A to Z, but I'm like, yo, West Side Gun is highly inspiring as a character, just like everything he does, how he moves, like he revolutionized the vinyl game as it is today for rap, like so there's always I kind of do get inspired by characters and voices and sounds, but like I said, I pick a couple fruits here and there. Usually, like I'm gonna take one example. There was my man Def Soldier that runs with Rome Streets, right? When I
Yeah, he
found out
just put
about
out an album with 183rd.
exactly,
Yeah.
and when I found out about him, I never heard of him. Like my man Coach put me up on him, and it's like, yeah, check
Oh,
out
shout
Def
out Coach.
Soldier. Coach,
Shout
yep.
out
What up?
everyone.
What up? What up? So he put me up on him. I seen the video and the beat was so fucking hard. Like, it wasn't about, I don't know this dude. I don't know the producer. It was just like, oh my God, like this is fucking retarded. And I'm like, all right, cool. It might not inspire me to do the same type of shit. It kind of like whips me on the ass. It's more like, oh man, like this shit is crazy. I gotta come correct type thing.
Yeah.
That's how I get inspired. It's not like, oh, I gotta get drums like that and like what is this loop? Like I don't give a fuck what it is. It's like, you got me on this one, bro. Whoever you are, like, ooh, my bad.
No problem. Well, that's what this whole podcast is like, I don't know anything about music theory. As you can probably tell, I don't know how to ask like music journalist questions like what machine did you use to make this beat? I just know what I like and I get inspired by it. Like
Mm-hmm.
there isn't anything that's It's like I don't want people to have to. I put out 2 episodes a week of this podcast and I don't miss weeks. Like you're never going to be able
Oh
to
shit.
listen to everything I do, but I want people to be inspired by like the amount of effort and work that I put in. Cuz on top of that, I'm also touring as a comedian doing shows like
I saw that.
trying to be on stage nightly. Like I want that's what it is now. It's like you don't have to watch everything I do, but you should be inspired by like the effort someone puts in. You have to be inspired looking at someone like West Side Gun and the effort that he put in.
Is that frightening to get up on stage and make people laugh? That seems
Oh
fucking
yeah.
frightening. Not
It's
only are you alone on stage and your shit got to go well. Oh man,
it doesn't go well most of the time though. That's the
it
thing is
doesn't.
like with so like say you make a beat and you think it's trash. You don't have to play that for anyone. Like the only way I know a joke is trash really is if I go in front of an audience and they don't laugh. Like there's no writing at home. Like everything I test
Wow.
out has to be in front of people. And those people, I've had cops. I have a bit like a bit about fat police officers. And I had cops threaten me after a show to like pull to
What?
arrest me and shit. And it's I was just testing a joke out. Like I didn't,
A
it is
fat joke?
scary. Yeah, they just didn't like a
Come
joke
on,
about
man.
it's so stupid. But it's
Donut
comedy.
donut jokes.
Comedy's such a weird thing because people really get mad about it. Like if they don't like a song, they're not gonna get mad about it. But if you don't like a joke, you'll get mad about it.
It's because you always close to the limit with the jokes. That's the point of it.
Exactly. I like to test the line, which also like that's why I like rap. Like you ever see Chappelle's Block Party?
Yep.
Like that was my dad's favorite movie growing up. And that's like
Hmm.
it makes like I love the freedom to just like there's limits and let's test what those are of what you can say and what you can do.
Come on, man. Like people gotta stop being so testy.
For real. Like that's why I love West Side. That's why I love like the Black Hitler shit. It's like he doesn't give a fuck. He'll ruin his own chances of mainstream success because he's following what he wants to do as an artist.
It's true. I remember the first time I peeped that when he came out with the Hitler shit. You gotta pause when you see that first. It's like, hold up. All right, hold up.
For
What's
real.
going on?
Yeah. Is it, and this
He's
could be an ignorant question, is it even more like intense? Because in America, it can be like kind of as a joke. Is it more intense over in Europe?
the way they perceive what he did.
No, I just mean like putting it out there as like an art.
Nah, you know how it is now. With pop, the so-called pop art, and just the whole. You
Yeah.
could do any. You could do anything now. How you going? I
You
wish
ever try
people
to
would
rap?
care.
Did you ever rap?
Mm, nah. Like one day, out of my like all these years of like experimenting, one day I felt like, why not? Like I'm doing all these sounds. What can be different? Let me just write a bunch of words because I think I can write a little bit. You know, just
Yeah.
not a lot. If I can make sense of some words. And not to mention that sometimes when you're really into the flow of what you're doing beat wise, like words and words with or without melodies might come to you. Like, so, one time I was just like, all right, fuck it. Some shit is just coming in my mind. Let me write the words. And then I try to record myself, and trust me, that will never happen again.
Yeah.
That will never happen again.
That is
It was
kind of
so
the
disappointing.
you don't know what your own voice sounds like. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, that's just the problem. Just the voice itself. I'm like, because when I spit it, I felt like, yeah, I got the right, I got the right attitude. When I heard myself, I was like, man, I sound like a fucking slouch looking at a fucking football game, like
Were you
eating
rapping in
potato chips,
English?
like English. That wasn't so long ago. That had to be like 5, 6 years ago.
You were rapping in English?
I tried. I wasn't rapping, yo. Don't fucking twist my words. I wasn't rapping in English 5, 6 years ago. I tried to, I try to rap. I try, I
I
try
will
to
cut
run
this as
rap,
the
but
clip. Don't worry.
that's the clip. I try to rap. I try to record. I was like, because I was like, yo, imagine you play bongos on a beat, you play keyboards, you like, fuck it. Like rap is just another sound. It wasn't.
No. Well, that's like people who think they can do like people think they can get up on stage and tell jokes because they're like funny in real life. And that's what a lot of people do until you realize it's a whole other thing. Like you need to command a whole room of people
Right.
and not get them to one, not pay attention, or two, riot at you, you know?
Man, I can't imagine. Walk on stage. Let me make you guys laugh now.
It's really like it's such a stupid art form when you really think about it.
I mean, if you pull it off, though, that's one of the greatest.
Well, I think about
Can pull
that.
off the Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. Could you wear a red leather suit?
Yeah,
I don't
take
think
that
I could
back.
pull that one off.
Why not?
Well, it's fun.
Flip the color. Take them to a different level with the colors. Maybe like some blue.
I look like Santa Claus. I mean,
All white. All white leather.
I always wear Griselda merch on stage. That's like my like. I don't even mean to, but now people just know me for wearing like crazy Griselda merch on stage.
You get it for free?
No.
No.
No. even the
After
even
all that,
the Conway project I was on, I spent like $300 on records and a hoodie.
word?
I
No,
had to hear my
no
own voice
ASCAP?
on the vinyl though. I had to get the vinyl to hear my own voice on it.
I mean, it makes sense though. Imagine you got to send a record to everybody you sample.
Oh my god, that's what I'm not complaining, and I like supporting the artist. Like that's how they make their money. That's how you make your money. Like
Ah, plus you cool forever now. You know,
yeah,
you on you on that song, you cool.
it's crazy. What's your proudest moment?
Right now, bro. I always answer right now. Not doing the podcast.
Don't bullshit me.
Not doing. I didn't say that. I didn't say. No, I say I'm proud of now. I'm proud of now. I'm alive. I'm doing it. I still want to do it. I'm proud. I always say the same shit. I'm proud of being here right now, still wanting to do it. Because it's a big gamble. Like, I love music and I love the culture, but like you could want to quit that in a heartbeat, because some days that shit is so disappointing. But hey man, I'm here now. I'm enjoying it. This is I'm proud of that. I'm proud of just being able to keep hearing things and being excited like a kid and shit like that, like and not
Yeah,
feeling like I have to do it because now, I started this and I have to finish what I started. Now I want to do it now. I'm excited about doing this shit right now. This is a great victory.
and that's beautiful that you still feel that way so many years after. Like you've been in it for so
Yeah,
long,
man.
and some people can get jaded, and some people it can leave and never come back or not. And like
I think it's like it's almost like you into rap is music, but you can kind of like dissociate. I kind of do it. It's like some days I'm more into music than I am into rap. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah,
so if I'm not so into rap that day, maybe I still want to hear notes. Like hear sounds. Before you know it, I'm back in rap mode because that's the thing with me too. Like I'm not really the reason why I do these experiences is so I can bring them back in the fold and use it in a rap context. Because even with this minimal shit, like I was like, all right, we're doing minimal stuff. but maybe I can replay just one instrument, but you won't even know about it. It'll sound like the loop, but just because I replay the bass, that same bar sounds like 3 bars now. Because sometimes switching the bass, it really makes it sound like a different bar. It still got the same basic elements to it, but if you flip the bass, it'll sound like a different loop. So you create 3 loops out of one, but without not to the point where you're like, oh, I'm so cool and I'm playing the bass to it. Oh, listen to what I'm doing. It's more like you throw it in the cut, and now you transform this simple thing into like some shit that's still simple, but now you can kind of like play around with it a little, so stuff like that.
Man, I really do appreciate your time doing it. We're at an hour, man. I really do appreciate you
Ready?
coming on.
Yeah, no doubt.
You have when's the project dropping?
Yeah, Ty Ferris drop on August 19th. August
How do you
19th.
feel about your first project being released?
It's crazy, right? It's crazy that it's coming out in 2022. First rap album.
How old were you when you produced your first beat?
First beat, probably 16, 16, shit like that. Yeah.
This should be your proudest moment then. You know
I
what? I'm
I am
sorry to
proud.
say you were bullshitting me. I take it back because you should be. That's awesome that you finally have like that you're putting out your first like. I know that's wild to say because you've been making music the whole time, but that is really cool.
It is cool. Nah, I'm really if Ty sees this, I'm really thankful, for he was also the first person to like believe in me to the point it was like, yo, I believe you can deliver, a full length, because some rappers were like scared of what I'm doing. I understand them. Like sometimes, people ask me for shit. I send like 5, 10 beats and I don't get no answer because I'm like, maybe, I try to keep it like in my mind. I'm like, yo, let me send you some shit that's not too crazy. And maybe it was still too crazy. I don't know. But Ty was the first one to like be like, nah, like you got it. Let's do it. So yeah, definitely grateful
Never
for
say
that.
your shit's too crazy. You should swing for the fences every time.
Yeah, but it doesn't always pay off. You know what I mean? Like rap is like you say, it goes in every directions. It's pretty experimental and it's also pretty conservative. But that's also what I like about it because when you start to you might start seeing, even though the shit is wide open, you might still like perceive certain limits to it. And I kind of like that because it's kind of like the same with you and the jokes. I'm seeing the fence, and I'm like, yo, I wanna walk on that fence a little bit, see what's on the other side. Sometimes
Well,
it's
that is what I like about rap because I listen to like super trappy stuff or super like electronic stuff or I like it all. Like when you were saying it's funny you're giving all the same rappers under the same umbrella. I was doing that on purpose because it's so different in that genre, but I like it all. Like I like clipping, the super noise, electronic, like or Trippy
it's,
Red. Like I'll listen to a Trippy Red song or I'll
yeah, I
listen.
get inspired by that. People don't believe me when I say that. They're like, oh, I know you hate trap. I'm like, you crazy? Like you heard the bass on that? Like same thing as I said. I might get inspired by the feeling of a song. I might just get inspired by the impact of some shit. I'm like, cool. Like I don't know about this and this and that, but just the impact of the bass alone, that's inspiration right there. Like I need to have some of that sauce. It's all just if you play in the clubs and you see the difference between if you ever had the misfortune of trying to go from a 90s record to a trap record or some shit like that, not even a trap record, but let's say like a Kendrick record that has a lot of bass or some shit, you will then that'll make you understand like that bass is needed. It's hard to make music without that bass. I throw it in like even in the regular I've been doing this shit for years. Like the regular loopy beats, I always got the 808 in there. Always. Like Even if it's low underneath, you need that.
Because it's all about the energy of the song at the end of the day. Like, what's the energy of the song giving off?
Mm-hmm. And bass does some shit to your body that you can't underestimate. It's like, do you want every beat that you make to sound like Travis Scott or something? No, but you got to find like it's, you got to get with the times.
Yeah.
Even if you like an old wolf like me, you got to be like, nah, these kids is doing something right.
Because that shit is amazing. And then you can see, like, you finally saw Rome Streets perform, right? And like his
Mm-hmm.
performance brings that energy, brings a different type of energy than anything else. Like his voice
He's a
when he
monster. He's a
performs.
monster. Yeah, he's just man. I don't have no words for dude for a dude like Rome. He's just a force of nature,
He
lyrical.
really is.
Just, I don't know.
Because recording live anything, he's there, he's present, he's with it.
And my shit is like, how does he memorize that?
Oh
What
yeah, yeah.
it's more so it's the flows and all that is already. But every time I see him spit, I'm like, how how does he even? It's
How does he not run out of breath? That's what I'm trying to.
yeah,
How does
it's a
he?
lot of house. It's a lot of house at the same time. Like just like man, and it was from day one. Like the first time I actually heard Rome spit was over one of my beats from the. I think it was on the DJ Clips halftime over one of the beats that was on the Imports. I don't know if you peeped the Imports project that Alchemist put out on his label, which is old beats of mine.
Oh no, I
Um,
didn't. I didn't.
yeah, so it's on Bandcamp. Can peep it.
Oh,
So
I'm gonna listen to that today.
boom. So so Rome was spitting over one of those beats, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this dude? What? Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't wait for his shit to drop.
Oh, Kiss the Ring, the Griselda shit. That's good. He says he has like 40 songs recorded for that.
I believe him.
I can't, yeah.
I believe him. I'm surprised it's not more.
He
Probably.
might have more at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably 80 as we speak. But
Yeah. He's probably recording 3 today.
exactly. Vic Spencer too. Vic Spencer's a monster with the. I don't know. He got like 4,000 albums.
Oh, well, I would say the same shit with Sonny Jim. When I was talking to him, he said he was sitting on like 12 projects.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know much about Sonny Jim. I think I spoke to him the other day. I think he's supposed to come through later on this year, like October or something. He's gonna come
Oh,
through on. That's another thing that's been crazy in the past few months. Like a lot more people have been inquiring about straight up like instead of me moving there, it's like, yo, we gonna come see you. And that I feel that's gonna take shit to the next level for me because I never really envisioned this to be a possibility. But I think as you grow older, more secure in your skin, you're like, yeah, of course it would make more sense to have the big, New York is this big amusement park and, it got all these, like I said earlier, it got all these vibes, blah, blah, blah. But really, like, when it comes down to it, why don't you come see me? Like, why not? Come get the
yeah.
same vibes I'm getting. Let's eat some cheese. Let's go skiing. I don't fucking know. Like, just come through
Do
and,
you
yeah.
ski? I'm a big skier.
Are you? I used to. You know what? Like obviously when you Swiss, a lot of kids we get thrown on skis. Like you like 4 years old. It's like your parents slap some skis on you. It's like, all right, do what you do. And so I always knew how to ski since I was like 5 or some shit, 4 or 5.
And what's your
But I don't
favorite
go
cheese?
these days. Hmm?
And what's your favorite cheese? Is my second question.
Gruyere.
Gruyere. All right.
Yeah. But I know you don't got the real stuff over there. It says Gruyere, but it's not. I investigated.
I need some real Gruyere.
Is that shit passing? Is that shit even going through customs?
No way.
You know how they
Yo, I'm
yeah,
gonna
they got
have
these
to
these things like
yo.
You want me to
He doesn't
FedEx
want the
you
cheese.
some cheese?
Yes, please. I don't feel like hiding it up my ass through customs.
Oh my god. Ass cheese.
Ass cheese. No one wants
That
ass.
sounds good. Ass
Oh,
cheese.
that is
Sounds good though.
surprising. You never linked up with Sunny Jim before. I'm excited to hear what you guys cook up because he's a dope artist.
Nah, that's why I mentioned. I said I don't know much about him. I put emphasis on that because he's from the UK and it's not so far from here, but it's almost like, and it's exciting in a way. It's like, it's UK is so close, but I know less about it than the US. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see.
He has a new album dropping with DJ Premiers on it, Mad Libs on it, J Electronica, and MF Doom
What?
verse. Yeah, he has a song with J and MF Doom that's unreleased.
Hmm.
Crazy.
I would be scared to rap alongside these guys.
Rap in English like you do.
Want to add one of my verses to it?
Yeah, you should do that. Do a
I
remix.
do like I do like a two bars. I'll give you
Do
two bars of divinity,
a bar about skiing and a bar about Gruyere.
some cheese bars.
some,
Got some cheese bars for you.
some cheese bars.
Cheese
Man,
bars.
thank
Sound
you.
like some bad boy record shit.
Cheese bars. That's your next beat tape.
Cheese bars. I've
Man,
run
thank
with it.
you for doing this. I really do appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
I'm
you. You might have to edit some parts. I'm not sure.
Why? No, this was
Maybe
great.
not.
This is a great conversation.
I leave it the way it is then.
All right. I appreciate you. You up to? Oh, it's late there. I was gonna say you up to anything the rest of your day, but
Yeah, I'll probably stay here for a couple hours more. Send some music to some cats. That'll be I haven't been too active this summer. It's been super hot. Same shit over there, I guess.
oh yeah, it went. I went for a run today, and it was like 95 degrees, and I was like
Yeah,
fucking
nah,
dying.
it's not worth it.
I got back and I felt like I was so sweaty. I was like, I just want to lay in the AC.
Where you at? You in New York?
No, I live outside of Boston. I live in
Oh, you
Massachusetts.
said Cape Cod, right?
Yes, I live on the other side now, but I live in Massachusetts.
So you got some water there? Or?
Yeah, I actually live pretty close to Esty.
Oh, close to Lynn.
Yeah, probably like
Mm.
40 minutes from Lynn.
Yo, I feel like me and SD got to work. Like we worked before, on the road record and all that. But yo, I really do feel like me and S. I have to say this. I feel like me and SD have to work based on I don't know. It's almost like I feel like the level of freedom that it displays in his rhymes sometimes. I feel like I got that going with the beats to a certain degree. It's kind of like the same.
I totally agree. And
Yeah,
it's the freedom that you both have.
yeah. It's a little jazzy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though it's not jazz, it's jazzy type shit.
No, I totally agree. I feel like you guys would work perfect together because he killed that verse, but I need to hear more.
He's on the Ty Ferris album.
Oh, I think I saw that. He's like one of the only features on there.
Yep, him and Asia.
Oh, that's dope. That's wicked dope. I need to talk to Planet Asia. I feel like we'll get along really well.
How many verses does he have? That's another dude.
That doesn't stop. Yeah.
Wow.
One of
Yeah,
the
man.
He's been working harder for so fucking long. But anyway, I appreciate it, man. I'll let you know when I release this. It'll probably be in probably like 2 weeks, honestly. I got some backed up episodes.
All right, boom.
Have a good rest of
Yeah.
your night.
You too, my bro.
All right, peace.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, hey.